Video journal entry 13, March 30th, 2025. Oh, something in my throat already. Holy. Oh man, where I start? I have a lot of thoughts this week. I'm like looking at my little like sheet, and I'm like, damn, I thought about a lot of things, didn't I? I actually just came back from the museum. There was an exhibition at the Art Institute that I really wanted to see, and today's the last day. I was like, dang, let me go and see it. It was called, I think, Project A Black Planet, and what was the full name? Something Pan-Africanism, and it focused around Pan-African art and like art across the diaspora from 1920 till present. And I'm guessing that was because I'm trying to think as far as like why it only stemmed as far back as the 1920s. Yeah, that thing that happened, I think slavery, I think maybe that's why. And like that erasure of art from like, I mentioned that last week, didn't I? Like how I want to learn a bit more about Ghanaian culture, but like the repository of information is just like not there because of colonialism and like erasure of that history. So maybe that's why that exhibition only stemmed to the 1920s. Also because I think of the movement, I think like the Pan-African movement in that time, I think maybe that's why it stemmed from like the 1920s as well, because that was when there was this like rise of this Black consciousness as enslaved people and exploited people were becoming free and had to figure out life, and they were starting to come up with these movements and these things that they're experiencing through life and how to navigate the modern world. So I guess maybe that's why the 20s as well, because all those themes were prevalent around that time. But it was a really good exhibition. Like I didn't know what to expect from it, because like the pictures that I was seeing, like the kind of like summary of like the exhibit, I was like, I don't know if it's like that many things I want to see. But when I went there, it was like so many pieces. I was like so happy with it. I saw an artist that I wasn't expecting to see there, but it makes sense that her piece would be there. But it was like a pleasant surprise, because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I would be able to see her work in person, you know? Like this wasn't something that was like on my mind, but to be able to see that work. Her name was Magdalene. I forgot how to pronounce her last name. It might be like Alumbu or something like that. I think she's Kenyan, and she's a ceramicist, and she makes these like really stunning shapes, and she hand builds, and they look so symmetrical, and even if it's like this very uniform for something that's hand built, and it looks even like a bit cleaner than something I might even think having been thrown on like the pottery wheel, and it just looks so clean. And I really love her shapes. So I love rounded shapes in my body work. So like when I saw her pieces, I was like, oh my gosh, I love them. That's what drew me to like her art and like her discography of art. So being able to see that in person was like, oh my gosh, a treat. And also I saw another piece that I really liked. It was like one of my favorite pieces, because it answered this like question for me. Like a question that I've like had is like, how, like in some arts and like certain works that I do, like how do I represent part of my like identity and like my Black identity, my African identity specifically, like how do I represent that in a way that feels natural to me, you know? Because I don't think phonetically I'm always like, I'm Black, so I'm African presenting because I'm Black, but like as far as like my aesthetics, etc., I don't know if it's always like, you know, like centrally African in a way. Like it's influenced by like growing up in the West. Essentially my upbringing is from the West, because that's a lot of what I resonate with. Like yes, I resonate with a lot of African things because like that's who raised me, but I feel like my overall experience, like I'm American, you know, I was raised in the West. So sometimes it feels like certain artworks, like if I was to do something, it would feel like too much of a reach, too much of a stretch of like trying too hard to present that African identity, if that makes sense. Like versus like a natural way of presenting how it just versus like a natural way of how it represents itself through me, or like how it conveys itself through my experience, like how my African identity conveys itself through my Western experience, you know, versus just like using certain like African colors, like with a lot of like African, not our works in general, like with a lot of African representation, you'll see like a lot of like green, red, and black, and then you'll see like really colorful things that I like, but like I'm not always trying to use that in like certain creativity and things that I do. So I'm like, like how do I express that myself and like my identity in a way that, I don't know, still represents Africa, still represents me and my overall upbringing. And I saw this piece and I was like, that's how you do it right there. Like that's not I'm pretty sure that wasn't the artist's intention, but like the work that was created, like it embodied that for me. You know, it was like very like it had a lot of African motifs as far as like the figures go. Like it had like certain, like I think like Yoruba, like if you see like certain African figurines and things like that, you see like African masks, etc. It like had those motifs, but it was done in this like real cool, not cool in like the real sense of like cool colors, warm colors, but this real like cool as in like groovy, you know, type cool, like this real like chill, calm type of color palette, you know, and sleek lines versus like really thick lines. Like they were like real sleek lines. Like fun fact, I'm like veering away, but like with like tattoo art, like I've noticed like Black artists have like thicker lines. They use really uniform lines versus like, which is what like drew me to getting like my tattoo in like Korea from like Korean tattoo artists, was they use like real subtle and like real delicate lines a lot of times. I noticed with like certain artists versus like always doing line work. Like I saw a more prevalent art style of like very not abstract, but like very form expression. Like think about when you like draw a line and you contain something, right? And your mind can tell the figure because of like the line that you drew, versus like with like the art style that I'm talking about, the overall color and overall feel create that form versus like a line creating that form, which I really like. And I feel like with African artwork, I noticed, so with certain artworks, like I said, with tattoo artists, you don't really see that. But with his artwork, I really loved like his sleek use of art, which I just really resonated with that a lot. And I really like that piece. What was his name? I wrote down the artist's name. I wrote down the piece. Ibrahim El Sahal, or El Salal, I think that's how you pronounce his name. And the piece was called Funeral and the Crescent. And I believe, I don't know if it was, I think they might have been Sudanese. And I think it was I think it might have been like a political figure. And the picture represented like, I guess, people mourning that figure and them carrying that figure over their heads. That was like the overall representation of the picture, or the painting. But I was like, oh, that's a Chef's kiss. And there was another painting next to it which really utilized color very well, which I really liked. And it made me, something about me, I've been thinking about color a lot lately in like the past year, like actively thinking about color. Like I've wanted to get better at color even longer than that. I think like for me 3 years ago, I've been thinking about getting better at color because I feel like personally, P.S. like I like to draw and I want to eventually paint, right? Let me like give you the backstory. Give me the backstory, I guess. I want to eventually paint, but I want to use color more, and I feel like I don't because I like to sketch. I feel like that's mostly what I do when I like do art things. Like I like black, I'm sketching, I'm using pencil, I'm using charcoal, so it's like mostly black and white, and I don't use color as often in that sense of like actively thinking about how I want to use color to like fill in an image. So I wanted to get better at color as just in overall creativity, right? So I think like maybe within like the past year and a half, I've been thinking about it more actively, and I've been looking into color theory, and I felt like when I was looking at like certain videos and reading things, I didn't know if like it was clicking for me, but I think over time, as I've been like living and like seeing things, like it's starting to click more for me, you know? It's starting to make more sense. Like the theory is like starting to work its way out. And like one of the paintings that I saw, it like reinforced this like idea. I've been starting to notice like you can like use so many colors, as many colors as you want in something, if you like have the right relationship between like saturation and like value and hues. Because like if it's like, let's say if you throw a bunch of colors on paper and it's like high saturation, it's not gonna work. But low key, that same color palette might work if you like tweak and mix and mingle with like the values and the saturations. So like that, some pieces that I saw, they really like reiterated that idea for me, which I really liked. I'm happy I went to the exhibition. I've been having a hard time like going out. I literally had to force myself this weekend to like leave the house for more than just like getting groceries, because like I haven't usually, like I think I have like a weekly regimen of like going to like a cafe like once a week or something like that to do work, but I haven't been doing that. And I've just been in the house, and it's like really hard for me to go out, but I was like, I need to go out and see this exhibition. And like yesterday I went out too, because yesterday I went to like another art thing. This lady that was at the old studio, like the old pottery studio I used to go to, she curated like I think an exhibition, and I was like, she asked me about it. She actually asked me to participate, but I was like, I wasn't have time to finish the piece because I was going to Japan, and like I knew it's gonna take me a while. I don't even have a kiln. Like I have a lot of pieces right in front of me that I haven't fired, so I was like, I don't know if I can commit to that. But she was like, oh, it's okay, like, you know, if you can stop by, da da da. And you know what? I was like, I want to stop by to her like exhibition. I was gonna stop by eventually, and I saw that she posted they were having an event that was yesterday. So I was like, let me go. I did not want to go yesterday. Like, I was like, wanted to stay in the bed, but I was like, let me show up. Like, you know what? Like, when they talk about community, me and that lady, we weren't particularly close, but I do appreciate her reaching out to me to even participate and just sharing it with me. So I was like, let me show up. Like, I want to show up for people, you know, and things like that. I want to be there for people, even if it's little. So I was like, let me do that. And let me go. I had to like force myself to like get out of bed. I'm happy I did those things. I'm happy I went to that exhibition. I've had a lot of thoughts this week. I was actually thinking about filming this video at the museum, but I was like, it was only like 30 minutes left before it closed, and I was like, I don't want to rush because I have a lot of thoughts this week. But speaking of which, since we're talking about art, I mean, so like since we're talking about art, I mean, so like segments or something else. I'm talking fast. I'm talking fast. I'm thinking about a lot of stuff. I'm talking fast, but something that I noticed was that there's like something off with like, I don't know if it's my brain or what, when in my hand-eye coordination, where like I wouldn't have noticed it until like I think the other day I was like doing sketches. I told you I want to like paint more, so I'm trying to like, I want to paint eventually, not even paint more, I want to start painting. But like, with that being said, I want to like improve my sketches, and I just want to like do a bit more artsy things. So I've been like sketching little things in my iPad and like my Procreate, and like I was trying to do like a solid shape, because one thing I want to make is I want to make like stickers or something, and I want it to be like a clean kind of like, it can't be a sketch, right? So it has to be clean. So I was trying to work on like making like solid figures or shapes with like single movements, and I noticed that like when I would like try to start a shape and go around, it would just get so twisted up on this other side. I think I'll like insert like a clip of my Procreate so you can actually see the process, but like it would like, I would like do a circle, and then I would try to finish the shape and like make it symmetrical, but like it would just curve in, and like it wasn't proportionate. And I was like, wait, oh my gosh, like something's not right here. So I was pretty much just like practicing doing one single movement shape of like a specific type of like form. Especially I was like doing little like pots, like pot shapes. I was like trying to sketch those forms, and I realized like it was having to work some part of my muscle in my brain. I don't know if it's like vice versa, like this side of my brain is controlling like this side of my hand, I don't know, but like, or this side is really controlling the side. But I was like, damn, I have to like work that muscle. And it reminds you that your brain is a muscle, because I was seeing improvements, and it reminds you that like your brain is really a muscle and you have to work it. And I was also wondering like maybe if it has to do like with my vision, because my right eye is a bit blurrier than my left eye, so maybe that had to do with it. But that was like a little funny thing that I noticed. Like there's like so many funny quirks about the body and like your mind. But that's a little thing that I've been working on. Next thing I've been thinking about is like, I feel like I just can't sit on like projects for long enough. And I feel like that is a detriment, because I think I talked about it last week with like marketing. Like you have to like stay on top of something, and you have to push it for like a long time, and you work on projects over a series of time. But I feel like I'm just like so rapid fire with like ideas and thoughts sometimes. I don't like to rest on things. And I also feel like I think there's like multiple things that like maybe contribute to this. I think like I wrote down one, I mentioned before, like I'm interested in so many ideas that I like don't want to sit on one thing like so long, because as I'm like in the process of doing something, I'm already thinking about something else. Two, when it comes to like marketing work, and like when it comes to spending time on my project in a sense of like putting it out there, I feel like I don't like to pester people. And I feel like maybe it has to do with like my upbringing, and like it's something I need to like work on, because like, you know, you need to pester people. Even if you feel like you're pestering people, there's still so many people that haven't seen something that you need to reach, you know? So even if you have like 10 followers, right? And you don't want to pester those 10 followers by posting so much, it's like, well, they don't have to fucking deal with it, because it's like millions of people that have to reach, you know? But it's like, I don't like to pester people, so I'm like, what do I do in that regard? But I need to like push past that. The third is sometimes I like get off on the process of doing things. Like, for example, with pottery, I haven't fired like a bunch of my pieces, and like I'm kind of okay with that, even though I need to be firing them, because I'm kind of okay with it, because I like the process of sitting on the wheel. Like that's where I really get my rocks off. Like sitting on that wheel and feeling that clay in my hands, and just like working on that piece that way, or like sitting down and doing some like hand kind of like sculptural type things with clay. That's where I get my rocks off, not necessarily like seeing that end result. The end result is really nice to have, especially sometimes the end result really is fulfilling. But like with something like with pottery, the form, just creating that form in my mind can be an end result. Even if I don't glaze it, even if I don't fire it, I have this form in front of me. So, you know, I don't really pistol to the end. That's the third. And I think a fourth one I mentioned is that like perhaps I don't stay on things long enough and I don't see things through because I'm afraid of like failure and shame and disappointment and like putting effort towards something and not seeing the results that I want to see out of it. So then I end up not finishing it all. But I need to, whatever it is, I need to figure it out and I need to like work on that because I need to see things through. And I feel like ideas deserve that much respect, you know, even if it comes out shitty, like I need to like see it through, you know, to give the idea at least that much respect. I don't know. That's how I'm feeling about it. Ooh, I had something else. Oh, another thing too, I think that goes alongside with this is that like, I feel like sometimes I feel like my vision is long term, but like my strategy isn't always long term, or not even my strategy is long term. I feel like I'm feeling stuck at like one point of the strategy. It's like I'm not getting anywhere else, and I can't start executing like the rest of the longer line of like strategy that I need to do. So I feel like the vision is gonna be clear, and that's what's kind of hard for me. Because like when I have an idea for something, when I see something, I see it clearly. So then like when I don't have the skill set to do it yet, or like there's just so much that's making it difficult to get to that end result, it's like a struggle because it's like I see the fucking vision, but like why can't I get to it? And I feel like sometimes I just feel like I'm just in this like little pitfall of not getting through to the other side. And I was like, what do I do with this? Where do I go? Like right now I feel like I'm stuck in this, like I have this whole vision of like things I want to do and like I want to achieve. But I feel like I'm stuck at this like one section of just building an audience so that work can even get somewhere, you know, beyond just me. And I'm just stuck at that like audience building segment of the strategy, because like that's only one portion. Like you build the audience, then you have this connection with people, then you release this work, and then it can connect with so many people, etc., 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 etc. That I just thought about that one. I think is it Charlie in the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory? I think it's Charlie. Whichever one is not the Johnny Depp one, the older original version. When Willy Wonka was like reading to Charlie how him and his grandpa broke the contract and they weren't gonna get the final prize. When he was like testing him at the moment, but he was like reading this contract and he was like and da 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 da, etc., etc., etc. I'm sorry. Tangent. But that's what I just thought about. I always think about that when I say etc. It just makes me think about that scene. But man, there's like so much to do and I'm so tired of being stuck at one point. Like but I guess, you know, you gotta enjoy the process. Like that's a major part of the existence, the journey is that process, you know. But sometimes it's like I want to keep moving. I want to experience other parts of the process, you know. I don't want to be stuck at one point of the process. Ooh, another thing, steering away from like creative endeavors, etc. Actually, no, before I steer away, let me just stay on point with all the creative and all the like artwork and work things first. Let me do that and not go into like the miscellaneous. Another thing I was thinking about is maybe I should not be trying to force. I should not feel like too inclined to like ideate when I'm in video editing mode, because I feel like this goes to like not being able to sit on one thing for like too long because I have all the ideas. But I feel like sometimes I forget that like video editing is like a craft of itself. Like it's a way for me to storytell. It's another medium to storytell, and it requires its own thought process. But I feel like sometimes I forget that it is so, and I'm like thinking about like all the other works that I need to be doing, all the other works I want to make, and like what I need to film, and etc., 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 you know. But I realized that maybe I shouldn't be doing that. I need to like give that video editing and like that thought process its time. It's, you know, it's like its own space and its own time to like work on things and like finish those projects and not feel bad that like I'm just editing, because like it's its own expression as well. It's its own form of storytelling as well, and it's its own like tool in that toolbox of like getting across my messages and all these other things. So I need to like see it as that, and maybe I shouldn't be like thinking like, oh, I'm doing all this editing, I'm not creating this, I'm doing all this editing, I'm not making music, I'm doing all this editing. I need to do editing, you know. I need to put my process and like the things I'm capturing, I need to put that out there, and I need to spend time telling that visual story. So I need to start putting respect on that video editing's name. But I think, is that all for work part? I don't know, but that's it for now. So fun fact, I've been like in the process of like trying to get a dog. I was supposed to actually, when I was back from Japan, I was supposed to like be ready to like get a dog. But that dog, like I mentioned before, I think that only had one baby. So then I had another breeder, and she was like, oh yeah, I think this dog's gonna be having puppies. Or I thought it was already like determined like the dog would be having puppies, but she recently messaged me and was like, oh, the dog ended up not being pregnant, so like no puppies. And I was like, okay, but I took that as a sign, because the first time like the puppy thing didn't work out, I was like, okay, but this time I'm like, that's a sign. I'm not really gonna push to get a dog for the time being, and I think it's for the best. I think in the back of my mind I was like a bit nervous about it. I wasn't sure if I was nervous about it just to be nervous about it, or if I was nervous because I wanted to travel more and like do other things. But like I take it as a sign. 2 times I'm listening, like no dog for the time being. But with that being said, it's gonna give me an opportunity to travel more than I thought I would this year. Cause this year, if I had got the puppy, I was gonna be like focusing on like raising the puppy till it was old enough for me to be able to like travel and then be able to like be away from it a bit. But now that I'm not having a dog, I can like travel more, and I'm kind of excited for that. But I'm also nervous about that. I don't know, like where should I go? What should I do? And I feel like I'm a little bit sad that I feel nervous about like travels. I think I mentioned it before, because like it's something that I really want to do, and I hate the fact that I have that type of like fear around it. And I feel like, with that being said, I feel like people don't think about like the discomfort that comes from getting what you want, or like getting closer to what you want, and doing the things that you want to do. Because when you're sitting back and you're aspiring and you're daydreaming, you're like, I want to do this, da da da. You're just thinking about all the feel goods that you're gonna get out of it, but you don't think about like the discomfort that it's gonna give you when you have to put yourself out of your comfort zone to get that thing, you know? And when you have to, like, for example, with travel, I get nervous about like getting on a plane, especially in this day and age. Like, you're not thinking about like having to endure a flight, etc. You're thinking about popping off in that country and having a good old time. But I guess it's all a part of the process. Next thing. Ooh, I started a garden. I started my little garden. So like I think I'm growing a handful of 10 things. I'm growing like some squash, some tomatoes, some okra, and I'm growing some strawberry and some blueberries. I'm excited about that, but I'm also nervous about it. Like when I was like planning everything, this goes to what I was saying. When you're daydreaming, you're not thinking about like the discomfort that comes when you're actually doing the thing. Like when I was thinking about my garden, I was just excited about the garden. But then I started seeing like how people are just so consumed by gardening. Like it becomes like everything that they do, and I got nervous. I was like, I don't want to be that consumed. Oh my gosh, commitment issues, bitch. But I was like, I just want to garden enough. I want to have time to travel. I don't want to have to like stay home and always tend to a garden, So I started feeling nervous. Like I was literally all good. And I started to like notice that when I was like looking at gardening videos, because I was like trying to figure out like how to fucking garden. But now that I have my things, I'm excited about it again. Like I've done my like little germination for like the few seeds that I've gotten. Let's hope something comes out of those. And then today I planted my blueberry bush in like its little like 20-gallon container. So hoping the best for summer gardening. I'm really interested to see how that like will play out. I think it's just another connection to earth, right? Another process, and I'm really looking forward to like what that would look like. So I'm excited about that. Ooh, 2 words: siren era. I ain't gonna talk about it too much right now, especially since this is to me, but this is also gonna be public. But when it comes, and I just want to say, bitch, when I check back in like a year or so, there will be some progress on that siren era. That siren era. Okay, whatever that means. Okay. Ooh, another thing. I was feeling bad, because I was like, dang, I'm not being consistent enough, like the things I do, and I'm like not doing this and that. But then I remembered I'm actually doing better than I thought, because like I was feeling bad because I was feeling down and not being consistent, or I was feeling like I wasn't being consistent. But when I look back, I feel like you've seen the down days that I've had. Like I had like a real like existential crisis recently, and like I was thinking back in the day, like a few years ago, that would have been really it. I would have been out for the count. I would have been out of commission. I wouldn't have been posting videos and editing those videos to get them posted. But even now, right now, currently, like not right now, today, but like when I'm having those bad days in these like recent past weeks, etc., when I'm having those like bad days, I'm still pushing forward, and like I'm still getting videos out, and I'm still like working on the things I need to work, even if I don't feel good. Is that, what is it called? High functioning depression, I don't know, but like I'm happy because like back in the day I wouldn't have done none of that shit. I just would have been depressed sitting in bed, and like time would have passed. I think that reminded me of like I like wrote this song like maybe like a couple years ago. Did I release it? No, bitch. But I wrote a song, because like I remember there was a season when I was like so depressed, and I literally looked up and the season had fucking changed. Like I couldn't even tell you between fucking summer to that winter what happened. It was just one day it was summer, and then I looked up and I remember it vividly. I was looking at a dormant tree. And I was like, damn, there's no leaves on this tree. It's fucking winter. And like, I wrote like a line that was like, when did the colors change right before my eyes? And like, I don't know. But now I can, even though I feel down, I'm still present, you know? I'm still aware of like things happening. I'm still doing what I need to do versus like just being so out of commission that like the season just changed in front of me and I don't know what the hell just happened. Traveling for winter helps too. I feel like I did have my crash out moments, but like for the most part, I felt better this winter than like a lot of winters, and maybe it's because my body stayed in motion. A body in motion stays in motion. So yeah, I felt better this winter. What else was I thinking? Oh, I had a job. I saw this job posting, and like it really tempted me, and I was debating like, is this something that I need to be doing, or is it tempting me to stir me off track, you know? Speaking of like job stuff, I think I'm like a little more relaxed because I had like a meeting with my, not the supervisor that I want to talk to, but like my direct report supervisor, and things were seeming like optimistic, as in they'll keep my ass around for maybe another extension of the contract. So I feel a little bit more at ease versus thinking like I need to hurry up and find a job immediately because I thought my contract is going to be over and that was it. So I'm feeling optimistic and I don't feel like as like hectic to find a job, like a new job. And like I'm going to have that meeting with like this skip above that manager just to like test the waters, like am I straight, you know? But I think for now I think it's looking okay. With that being said though, when I was like looking, I saw this job offer and it was actually at my old company, and I was like, is this the devil or should I be testing that offer out? Because it looked like a role that I would be really good at. I actually did a project with that team before, and I think like the person I was working with really liked me, so I think like they would like me to work there, you know? But I was like, I don't know, I left for a reason, but at the same time, that salary was looking real good. But I was like, let me leave it alone. Let me leave it alone. Some things, you know, they look good, but is it what you really need? You know, that money look good, but is it what I really need? And you know, I used to like wonder like when people like didn't like go after like certain amounts of money and they just stay with like certain companies for like a long ass time. But as I got older, I started to realize that's actually why like some things money can't buy. Like some things in the job environment, money cannot buy. Like you end up having like a good team and then you like run to another company for like what? It'd be like a 20% increase, and then now you're living in fucking hell and you wish you would have just been where you were before with that minus 20%. So you gotta be careful about that. Yeah, you gotta be careful about that. Next thing, what was I thinking about next? I was thinking about, I don't even remember why I was even thinking about this, but I thought about, you have to find this balance of like doing the things that you want and doing the things that you don't want and have to do. You know, some things you just have to do. I think for me, sometimes even the things that I don't necessarily feel like doing don't feel too bad, like when I understand the overall purpose and the goal. I feel like sometimes though I move too quick before I can see like how it can be helpful to me. So it's like I'm just kind of like reminding myself of like, don't be like too quick to like dismiss certain things, and like certain things need to be done even if they don't feel good, you know. But that's that little take there. I'm trying to remember like what exactly the context was when I thought about that thought, but I cannot remember. Oh, another thing, and I think this will tie back to what I mentioned before of like not giving my work enough time, I noticed it because let me circle back to the point. Wait, I noticed it. I was listening to like some of my songs that I was like writing and just have recorded and are just sitting in like a folder somewhere, and I was noticing a little bit of a theme, and I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe I can just like look at the rest of my repository of music and put together EP. Like I'll just find some more things that resonate with that theme and put together an EP. And like I'm only able to do that because I was like working on things here and there, working on a project here, working on a project there over time. So as time went by, I had a like collection of things I can look at, and then I can like start to like piece together themes and like identify certain things that I want to like push further, or not even push further, but like when you identify those themes, you can like start seeing a message that you didn't see while you were like in the process of making the individual pieces, you know? Y'all, my camera cut off. I'm so blue. Like I would always worry about like my camera auto-focusing while I'm like not seeing it, but my dang camera cut off. I was thinking about that, and like I feel like this low-key has happened before, but I didn't catch it because I was finished recording what I was recording. So like I would like go to my camera and it would look like my camera had stopped. And I was like, I didn't stop my camera, but then I would think like, okay, maybe I just accidentally did. And it didn't really matter because like I was done filming what I was filming. But this time I guess it was cutting off. So now I gotta figure out what that's about. But anywho, going back to what I was saying before, like then I lost my train of thought. Like y'all literally finished. I was finished. So I went to go check my camera and it stopped recording. But anywho, where I left off, I'm getting this off my chest. I'm getting my thoughts off my chest for if I have to come back. It also makes me nervous. Like I hate when like this has been a routine and like I sit down, I record a video, I come up, I leave. Now I have to like re-record parts and like that's different from the norm and it makes me nervous. Like when things like just suddenly like switch up like that, it makes me nervous. But anyway, versus like creating little things because like for example like I'll have like a vision rather than like creating like the little individual parts like I mentioned before. Like I'll have a vision and then I'll like think about the whole process and think about like the songs I want to make, etc. And like I mentioned before, like I'll have a vision and I like see it all the way through, but then I'm already thinking about like the music videos and but then I'll get stressed and I don't see it through. But like with like what I mentioned before of like just making the song here, making the song there, and I'm not really thinking about this like big overall scheme. But then later on, I start to identify themes, and then I can plan around it. And I feel like low-key, that's like one of the best type of ways to do something. Like now the music is already done, so that's one aspect you don't have to worry about. You can think about like all the other creative elements around that music and around that story, and build a story from there. So I feel like maybe that like the ladder of like doing those pieces and then like making a story from like what you've created over time. Like I mentioned before, it goes back to like sitting on a project for a while versus just like, you know, pushing light speed past it. Like over time, you get to see things a bit clearer than in person, you know. That's just my thoughts on that. Who's next? Dun, 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 dun. I'm trying to figure out like where I left off and like I don't want to like re-repeat things that I already talked about. I think that's good. But Friday was Friday was a day of the most clarity that I've had in a long time. Like Friday was such a good day for me. Maybe I don't know why. Maybe it was the weather. The weather does a big part of it, but like I could finally see ahead of me for the first time in a long time. And I'm like trying to think to myself like what went down that day so I can remember it for later. So like if I have a bad day, I can have something to pull from to make that day a bit better. Like obviously I won't be able to emulate that day. Like that day, I don't know what about Friday, but like I think it was just so clear for me. So let me think back from like the beginning. I had me like a little tea session. I love having me a tea, child. I love me a good tea session. I like getting my cute little like ceramic thing that I have for tea that I got from Korea. And then I pour my like tea leaves in it, like my jasmine tea leaves. And then as I pour the jasmine tea leaves, I can like get the whiff of the nice smelling tea. And then like I have my kettle starts whistling over there. I love the sound of a whistling kettle. Like, oh, I love it. And then I like pour my tea and like I'm tasting all the little different flavors of my tea. And it's I love having me a tea. Obviously that's why my day started off so well, of course. But like I love having me a tea, you know. And having a tea session just makes me feel good. So obviously, okay, that added to my good day. But like the rest of the day just felt good too. Like I was working on like things I wanted to work on. I was like reading some articles. Like I mentioned Siren Era, so like I was reading some like articles of that and like taking notes from that for the project. Like I did like my 9 to 5 stuff, but like I didn't have to think about my 9 to 5 stuff too much because like Fridays are like shorter days for me because like I like to work a little bit later throughout the week, so like Friday would be shorter, so I didn't have to worry about all those emails and all those Teams notifications, etc., 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 etc. I didn't have to worry about that. And I was just like, also I was doing all this stuff outside because it was a nice day, so I was just sitting out there like doing my work on the deck. Bro, if you can have something on like a property that lets you like be outside easily, just walk outside and like be outside, have it. Because something about just sitting out there on that deck, just like, oh, when I was doing my work, and it was just a good day. And also too, like the weather was good all day. Like with Chicago, when it gets to that springtime, like it likes to tease us. Like it could be nice one second and the next second it'll be freezing. But like that day it was nice the whole day. So like after I finished like all my stuff in the evening, I was like listening to music. Like I was outside literally sitting on the deck till like 2 a.m. Like that's how good like the weather was all day, and I was like listening to old songs, and like those old songs were like making me think, like just think about my past and stuff like that. And it was just a good day. And like with thinking about my past, it made me like really grateful for like the life that I've lived. I'm like, I'm grateful for like the things I got to experience, like the little shenanigans and things that I got into when I was younger, and like thinking about my adolescence in that realm, and just being grateful for like the experiences that I've had. Because usually sometimes I'm just feeling down, but like I was just feeling so good, and like I felt grateful, and that's how I ended my day, like listening to music that reminded me of like good times and just different experiences, and just being out there in that weather, and it just felt so good. Like that was one of my best days I've had thus far this year, and that's crazy because I went to Japan this year too, and here I was just like a regular day in my house. I didn't do too much, and I was feeling so good. Like it was good. It was so good, man. Friday was a really good day, and like the rest of the week, it was a shaky week for me. Like I mentioned before, like it was hard for me to like even just re-sleep this today, and like yesterday it was hard for me to go outside, and like I've just been in the house and etc. But like it wasn't necessarily a great week. So like for like that Friday to just feel so good and like to bring so much clarity, it was like I also feel a little nervous because I was like, damn, this day is really good. I hope nothing happens, but I shouldn't think that way. Right? But it was a good day. But speaking of nostalgia, I was thinking about to myself, like, did like people in the past, like way back when, like some centuries ago, were they like nostalgic about their past? 'Cause I feel like even like regardless of like my nostalgia sitting on the deck, but I was thinking about like nostalgia and just like even a societal sense. I feel like we're in a really regressive time. So like people are like grasping towards the past because like the present is so horrendous, and like the future looks so bleak that they're grasping towards the past. But like I was wondering, like even besides that, even just something with like trends and like nostalgia trends and things like that, the people of the past have that same nostalgia that we have today, or did their future look more optimistic, that they didn't have to always lean towards the past? Like for example, like if somebody was like in the future look at the past and like look at what we're doing today, right? They'll see the 70s, then they'll see like 2000s, and then like maybe later on they'll see like things from the 70s peek their heads again, and they'll probably be like what's going on here, like. And I wonder, like back then, was like Shakespeare looking back to his past and like nostalgic about that, and like nostalgic about the art and stuff that was done then, and bringing it to his work, were people as nostalgic and always like grasping onto the past, or were they like keeping moving ahead? I don't know. Or maybe when somebody looks at us today and like they're thinking about history, they won't see that those like minor cycles of like trends and things like that. Maybe it just gets overlooked when people are like studying history. But it made me wonder about that. Also, on another note, I think YouTube thinks I'm a 50-year-old woman. I watched this like older lady's video. It was a nice little video. But after I watched that video, and I think because I'm watching a little bit more art things on my channel, I've been seeing like ads for like older ladies. Like it was showing me this ad for like these like 50 plus dance class. Like, are you an older lady over 50 that wants to dance? And I'm like, actually, I'm not a lady over 50. Maybe I'm an old soul. I don't know. I feel like my spirit is it's like a split between a child and like an old spirit, like old soul. I think I'm like 50-50. But that was like funny to me. But, ooh, I saw this like video of this boy mentioning how like when he was in Peru, he was talking to like his herbalist aunt about like how he's been feeling down and like hard to get out of bed and da. And his aunt pretty much was saying like that's like a symptom that a lot of people from America have, and apparently like it's a thing called like a functional freeze, which I hadn't heard of that before, where like your nervous system is just so shocked out from all the stress that you can't really operate normally. And I'm like, damn, bitch, am I in a functional freeze? Because like I feel like in the U.S., maybe we can't see it, but like in the U.S., you're left wondering like, is it me? Like I'm sitting in bed, like what's wrong with me? I need to like do something different. What's wrong with me? And the whole time, literally, it's the byproduct of your freaking society that's like stressing you out. It makes you think, because like sometimes you think, and it goes to like the individualistic nature that they push on us, like the pull yourselves up by the bootstrap nature of the U.S., where you'll be thinking to yourself like, what is wrong with me? Why am I not doing what I need to be doing? Why am I so slow? Why am I laying in bed the whole time? Your fucking society is crashing, and that's why, like, that's what's happening, That was interesting to see. It gave, like, another perspective. But, man, I gotta figure out how to fix that function freeze, I guess. Another thing I heard of was, the valley of despair. And I think it's like a part of like the cycle of achievement, and like how I'll spend a little bit later, but I think personally, like, I think right now I'm in the valley of despair, to be honest with you. But essentially, it's like when it comes to the cycle of achievement, you have like your uneducated optimism. Like, you don't know everything that it takes to like get to like where you want to be. You're so, wasn't I talking about that earlier, right? I have this vision and I can't achieve it, right? But like, you don't know where you, but when you're like thinking about that vision, you're excited. But anyway, back to the topic, like, you don't know like what it entails. Like, you're just excited about it. And then, oh, that's so funny. Wow. Connection. There's a name. I was literally just talking about it. I didn't know a name for it, but here I am thinking about it again. But so like, then after like the optimism, you start going up a little bit more, and then you start to become educated, and then you become educated and pessimistic because things are a lot harder than you were anticipating, and like, you get towards a struggle, and it's just this downward spiral, and then you end up in the valley of despair. And apparently, like, that's where a lot of people quit, and like, that's where they like don't, like, that's it and it's over with. And I feel like I'm in the valley of despair. Like, even I think in the Brad Odd cycle of life, of trying to achieve a great life, I'm in like the valley of despair, and I'm like trying to make it to the other end. But like, after that valley of the despair, then you start getting educated optimism. So now you're not just educated and despairing. Like, you feel enabled to like put certain things to use of your past experience to get out of here, and then you work your way up, and then you work your way up, and then you get achievement. Yay! And I'm in the valley. Actually, no, I don't think I'm in the valley of despair. I think I'm like almost at educated optimism. You know, like, I'm understanding things more. I'm not like as down bad as I used to be. Like, I'm starting to apply my learnings. So hopefully achievement is not too far along, because I'm fucking tired. I'm despairing. So, but that's interesting to see. I think seeing that what's it called? Seeing that framework for it was really interesting, and I saw visuals of it, and I was hearing about it. So like, it just gave me another perspective to think about when I think about my journey, and when I'm thinking about I'm so tired and I don't want to do anything else. I gotta remember, I can't quit. I gotta make it to achievement. I gotta make it to the top of the hill. But I think that's really about it for this week. Wow. I don't know. I was yapping this week, child. I had a lot of thoughts. I told you I had a lot of thoughts, man. Maybe that's why, I don't know. That's why my like camera cut off and like I think I guess this little differentiator of like the overall like ritual of doing the things. Maybe we need a little switch up sometimes. So I won't like think it's like a super bad omen. I'm just gonna say like my camera cut off. That's it. But yeah, that's it. That's it for me today. See you next week. Bye.